Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Chiro HD, Evo Creative Media, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 573 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Joe Borio. And if you want to hear how we put passion back into chiropractic, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is episode, you guessed it, 573. I have Joe Borio coming on with Chiro Passion. I'm really excited to talk to him about his career in chiropractic and what he's doing to support the profession and his coaching group. This is Chiro Hustle, our big why. Why do we do what we do over here? Well, first things first is we do protect freedom of speech with this show. We allow chiropractors to talk about things that matter to this profession, and we don't censor anyone, which I think is really cool. In a world where I know what it's like to be censored and shadow banned and condensed with our message, it's crazy. They do that to Chiro Hustle, but they have. I had to navigate that and say, you know what? The most important part of this is telling the story of chiropractic. And that's something I picked up from Dr. Joe 11 years ago when I saw him speaking at the first Mile High I attended as a dude that just worked in a chiropractic office. I didn't have any type of position in chiropractic except I showed up, I greeted people, I put them in their CBP traction setups, I followed their care plans with them, and I said, hey, have a nice day, have a chiropractic day, we'll see you next time. That's what I did. And then I saw this and I'm like, I better start telling the story. So anyways, lightly, there's 1,200 interviews that Chiro Hustle's done in 6 years. And since Dr. Joe sparked that in me years ago, I've just been telling the story. On top of that, we do protect BJ Palmer Sacred Trust. I think that's really important for people to know. If you don't know what BJ Palmer Sacred Trust is, go to your favorite search engine right now, stop this interview, and go find out what BJ Palmer's last words were. You're going to know more about chiropractic than you previously did, I guarantee you. We also protect with the show medical freedom and family health freedom. I can't tell you how important it is for the chiropractic profession to do what they do to protect that balance between choice. And chiropractic is a huge component to making sure that you and your families have the ability to get care the way you prefer to have care. So I love that about chiropractic. And then philosophically digging a little bit deeper, we do support subluxation-based chiropractic. We do believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. Dr. Joe, welcome.
Thank you. Unital, D.D. Palmer, man. The unification of man, the physical, to man, the spirit. It's good stuff right there.
Yeah, I feel like if people don't even listen to what we talk about right now, at least they get dipped in that 2-minute intro.
Yeah.
That I go off like a Tommy gun.
Yeah, I love it. Perfect.
People need that. They need to know what chiropractic is. You know, I was at dinner with a buddy of mine last night, and he's like, what does chiropractic mean to you? I'm like, poof.
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
I said, what does it mean to the profession?
Yeah.
I go, and that's our answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. You said tell the story at Mile High. So, yes, it's funny that when you were telling me that story, that listening to me was part of,
my story.
Yeah, part of your story. So that's an honor because, I have that in my life as well. But I always find it odd when, people say, well, how do I grow my office and how do I serve more people? And my big push is, how do you keep them? Like, be good at getting them. I give Borio-isms, I call them, but be good at getting them, but be great at keeping them. The big push is keeping people, but it's talk chiropractic. It's funny, like who's your chiropractor? You know, what? Tell me what straight is, what healthy is. Tell me how your body knows what to do. Like, if you start talking more chiropractic, you get more people, and more people refer, and people stay longer. Like, I think we've complicated it with looking at so much, and I'm not saying we don't need science, we don't need more science, but I think we've complicated it to such a degree that, you almost make it, you raise the bar for somebody to enter the care of a chiropractor. I mean, one of my simple explanations that we're big on communication and chiropassion, and that we coach and teach on, but straighter's better than crooked. Like, it really isn't much more complicated than, if you show somebody x-rays and you want to do a really quick report of findings, what's better, straight or crooked? Straight. Are you straight or crooked? I'm crooked. So what's my job? Get me straight. Once I get you straight, what's my job? Keep me straight, and I mean, you don't have to get really, really complicated. They don't need to know the quote of the sacred trust. We do. They don't need to know it in order to be a great practice member or somebody that needs to be taken care of. So
no, they need to have rapport with you.
Yes, exactly.
They need to trust you.
Yes.
That's it. And then you need to talk to them like they're in 5th grade.
Correct. Exactly. I might even be a little younger than that, but maybe that's where you're at. I don't know. I'll leave it there. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. And you said we don't need more science. We need more connection, really.
Yeah. I mean, we need science, but there's enough science out there to justify what you do every day, to be really clear on your intention and objective. And mechanical biology is a huge role, right? So you're not healthy or crooked. Your spine doesn't work better crooked. Your nervous system doesn't work better when your spine is busted up and crooked and deteriorated. And listen, if you have crooked teeth, you see an orthodontist. You don't take freaking Tylenol and Advil to straighten your teeth. So how is that going to make your spine straighter and more mobile? It's not. Yeah, you use braces to straighten teeth. You use adjustments to straighten your spine. Like, it ain't rocket science here. So we just need to talk in those terms, stay within our lane. Don't blur the lines. And man, people will line up because no one else does what you do. Other people treat back pain. So if you want to talk back pain, you then become somebody who
one of many. You become one of many. You're one of many.
Right, exactly. But if I say, look, I adjust, locate, analyze, correct subluxation, reconnect your body, give you a better life, nobody does that. So you've eliminated all your competition.
It's a blue ocean then. Like in marketing, it's either red ocean that's competitive, or it's blue ocean where you have no competition.
Exactly.
And really, that's the thing with chiropractic, is it is such a unique situation where people go to chiropractors. They don't go to you for your science degree.
Correct.
They go to you because you can adjust them.
Exactly. Tell the story. There's this great, it's brief, but there's a story of the 2 shoe manufacturers, and they're making sneakers and shoes. And they're like, we want to expand our businesses. So one guy says, I'm going to send you to a town in India. Go check it out. The other guy says, I'm going to send you to a town in India. Go check it out. A couple of weeks later, they both come back. First guy, business guy, says, what's going on? He goes, boss, bad idea. We got to cut this growth area out in India. He goes, why? He goes, nobody's wearing shoes. The other guy comes in and he says, hey, what's the deal? Boss, oh my God, unbelievable. We got to set up a shop tomorrow. Why? Because nobody's wearing shoes. Everybody's a customer. So my attitude is, if nobody's adjusted subluxation, everybody's a customer. Holy cow, the whole world is available. And reduction of subluxation gives everyone a better life. So what are we doing? What are we fighting about? What are we arguing about? Let's go. Take on the world, baby.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Can I ask you a little bit more poignant question? Like, it might be a little touch and go, but so the word subluxation matters to chiropractic. When you say?
Yes, 100%.
Have you seen a reduction of schools teaching that to their students?
Yeah, what happens is
it's concerning to me, so that's why I'm curious. And it sounds like that you love the same thing I love, which is subluxation and chiropractic. Not the people being subluxated, but keeping the vernacular and the languaging intact.
There is a deep insecurity in the profession, It started a long time ago. It's continued to this day. I remember Jim Chestnut said, the biggest dagger that medicine or science put in our back was that we're non-scientific, and we carry that deep inferior complex. So because we feel insecure and inferior, we're desperate for acceptance. We're desperate for somebody to bring us to the table, and so we're willing to give up some of our definition, what makes us unique, our principle, in an effort to sit at the table. And what unfortunately the profession doesn't fully understand is by doing that, number one, you're sitting at a table that you don't want to sit at, and number two, you are losing your uniqueness, and chiropractic becomes lost.
And a bit digger deep.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a concern that some of these schools that are doing that are removing chiropractic from the titles of the schools? I know I didn't prep you for any of this, but I'm just curious.
Absolutely, yes.
But that's where it takes me to.
Yes.
They're removing chiropractic and calling these schools health sciences.
Yes.
And they're putting chiropractic on people's diplomas, chiropractic medicine.
Yes. So what happens is you start a chiropractic school and you're a chiropractic school. Then what happens is we start to dilute it, and then chiropractic becomes more challenging and diluted, and then the profession gets hammered. So the school, in an effort to make it more acceptable, drops some of its principle, right? Which then makes the school challenged even more. So now, rather than just being a chiropractic school, we're acupuncture. And I'm not questioning the validity of any of these other services.
No, me neither.
Is they're not chiropractic. So then it becomes a dilution, and then you get people that, and again, I love them, that they're saying, I want to be a nutritionist, I want to be exercise. This is the type of chiropractic I want to practice.
Yeah.
Doesn't make them a bad person, but an orthodontist doesn't look at your freaking knee. When you go into the orthodontist, you don't say, "Doc, listen, after you're done with the braces here, man, my knee has been freaking killing me. Can you take a look at my knee or my ankle, or I've been having some digestive trouble?" And not only would they not look at it, nor would you ask them that, because they're clear that if you did ask them that, the orthodontist wouldn't go back in the corner and go, "Oh my God, I didn't know what to say," or they don't act like I'm a real doctor because they don't ask me visceral fucking problems, right? I mean, they're going to go, "Look, I'm an orthodontist. I'm really good at what I do. Go talk to this person who does that." And we've lost that. And
it's professional integrity.
Yeah. And confidence and clarity and mission and purpose and why. And, Reggie was my mentor. He had a profound effect on me. And he described it, a subluxation, as an abomination of human potential. So what science has shown, Heidi Havoc does a study, Carrick did all this stuff in the 90s as well. And what did she show? That subluxation in the cervical spine, one adjustment, changes prefrontal cortex neuronal recruitment and activity by 20% improvement. Can you imagine if Pfizer came out with a drug that said, "Hey, swallow this pill down and your prefrontal cortex is going to increase with a 20% bump"? You wouldn't be able to keep that drug on the shelf, and nobody talks about it. And it is just one of thousands of studies that validate, certify, clarify a mission, a purpose, a why you should walk around with a freaking superhero cape and realize that you are noble, that you are significant. You have a place that is profoundly significant and important. Every human being is neurologically compromised if they're not getting adjusted. And the story, bottom line, so everyone's subluxated, so everyone needs your service. Everybody needs your care regularly throughout your lifetime.
And here's a numbers game, because I sometimes I get on stage and I'm like, you know what? I'm not a mathlete, but here's a numbers game. If you took the amount of licensed chiropractors just in the United States, we don't have to go abroad, because the concentration of all chiropractors are US based. And then you divide that down by people in the United States, because we don't have to go worldwide.
Sure.
And you find out how many actual practicing chiropractors there are for the American population.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yes.
And then you think how unique being a doctor is. Like if you took the amount of doctors, just all doctors, and you added them all up worldwide now, and you divide that down by people, being a chiropractor is a unique opportunity to be what chiropractors do,
Yes.
because they're so scarce. Chiropractors are scarce.
Yes.
Like
There's
not
no
a lot.
shoes.
There's not a lot of y'all.
No one's wearing any shoes. I mean, the whole world is open to all of us. No one's wearing shoes. And the more I talk chiropractic, and that it's, my view has always been chiropractic's good for you. Like, it doesn't have to cure blindness. I'm not saying it can't. I'm not saying it doesn't. You don't have to have cancer. You don't have to have a backache. Like, getting adjusted is good for you. Every metric that they utilize pre and post adjustment of a subluxation shows cortisol, heart rate variability, prefrontal cortex, vascularity, cerebral spinal fluid, electrical connectivity to the spinal cord. I could go on for 5 minutes. It's just every metric is improved after an adjustment. So all immune system, dramatic changes. So everyone benefits from getting an adjustment. Everyone, it's good for you. So just like going to the gym is good for you, eating good is good for you. Everybody needs to go to a chiropractor because it's good for you, and you're neurologically compromised if you're not getting care. So that's all you should talk about in your practice. Period. End of story. That's all you should talk about.
Yeah. And that's a big reason I wanted to have you on, because one of the things that we're going to touch on today was practices and procedures.
Yes.
And having a tone for the profession. And like we've been discussing, like having some fire inside of you, and it's having some fire in your belly to talk about what matters most, building rapport, talking to people, supporting the chiropractic profession. And I know Chiropassion does a great job of teaching people how to do practices and procedures. Why is that so important to a practitioner?
One is, there's a guy by the name of Ray Kroc. He came up with the
McDonald's,
right?
Yeah.
So his 3 keys to success were commitment, consistency, and romance. And I agree with that in your profession. You have to be consistent. One of the things I learned when I was younger as a chiropractor, I wanted to see more people than anybody. I don't know if I did it, but if I did it, I almost did it. And I can tell you that I went to a bunch of different offices, and I would say everyone, almost everyone did things different. Some of them significantly different, some of them similar, but everyone did things differently. But everyone did everything exactly the same in their practice. So Reggie and Ernie Landy and Joe D'Onofrio and Ian Grossman, and names that people probably never even heard of, they all did everything exactly the same. So they processed everyone exactly the same. And that allows you to mitigate, manage, and remain some level of consistency in your practice. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't going to be some one-offs and some variations, but in general, you're going to need discretion. But in general, 90+% have to go through the funnel, because everyone's walking in without a real clear understanding of what it is you do and what you provide. The other point is you got to be slow to grow. And a lot of people don't understand that. But what it means is, if I'm seeing 100 a week, 100 a day, 100 an hour, and I say I want to be busier, if you want to be busier, wherever you're at right now has to be slow in order for you to grow, which means you need a mindset and a skill set elevation. It doesn't mean what you're doing is wrong. It just means, listen, there's this ego where, everybody wants to figure it out themselves. And I never could understand that. I didn't learn to play football from Pop Warner or college. I didn't learn to be a chiropractor by myself. Why would I think because I got a degree in chiropractic that I could go hang a shingle and run a successful practice? I don't know where that came from. And even worse, that if you can't do it or you need help in some way, that's something to be ashamed by. Anyone in business that's successful has mentors, teachers, and coaches. And if you read anyone great, Steve Jobs being one of them, he had mentors, coaches, and teachers that allowed him to teach, lost the company, came back, got more mentors, coaches, and teachers, and ran Apple and to be one of the biggest. So in order for us to be great, we need to surround ourselves with people that are great, that know what to do. Why would I waste my time? So we want to, I don't want to figure it out myself in 3 years. If I could do it in a year, like get all that business stuff out of the way so I could kick ass in practice and serve as many people as possible and make a living. I think you should be profitable as long as you put the interest of those people you serve ahead of yourself. Then why shouldn't you make $1 million? Keep. I don't mean, I hear practices say $1 million practice. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying you net $1 million. Why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you? And not only that, that's what's going to lead the profession. Not that it's a material money, but this whole proud poor thing that we're supposed to be proud that we suffer, or we're proud that we're poor and yet we're still serving that doesn't even make any sense. BJ Palmer wasn't poor. He gave his money, he made a ton of money and gave it back to the profession. Like, why not do what Carnegie did and make a ton of money in philanthropy and give it back to the profession? Why not? You were asking me about IFCO and different programs. Like, why not make a lot of money and give a lot of that back to the profession to help lead others to grow and serve and carry on this mission that we've been bestowed upon?
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Chiro HD, Evo Creative Media, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now let's hustle. Question that stirred up for me. When people work with Chiro Passion, are you teaching them to pay their student debt down?
We teach, which is what a lot of guys don't teach, I think, in a lot of groups, and I say that with respect. We teach what we call wealth mastery, so knowing the difference between gross and net. Again, I say it out of love. We just had a diamond member call. I had a fractional CFO by the name of John Verbeck. So he was our speaker today for 30 minutes. So what is he would know your numbers, know what your profit margin is. How much does it cost you to see somebody? Like, what's it actually cost you to see a practice member? Divide your overhead by the number of people you see. And then how do you increase that point of service? And what are your hard costs and soft costs? And, how to run a business. And then how can you pay these things back 100%? I want you to have debt, but I want you to have good debt, not bad debt. And I want you to pay your debt back. I paid my student loans back in 5 years after I graduated, $186,000. So
yeah, I think it's important for people to hear that, man.
Yeah.
And one of those key points that we were going to talk about is discipline. And I think one of the only ways to become not having guilt or shame or fear, 3 low vibrational frequencies within our energy field, is to have discipline.
Yes.
Because then you're going towards something. I was telling you, like, dude, when I have one of these calendars that's this big, like it's a desk style calendar that's big. And you're like, dude, and you're like, we have our clients have them that are like 2 feet big.
Yes.
Or however big you said. But I think it's important for people to have a focus and a vision and be disciplined and know what their numbers are.
Yes.
They used to always say until the past couple of years that people lie, numbers don't.
Correct.
Well, now numbers lie too.
Correct.
so we have to like retrace a little bit, but up until 3 years ago, that was a very firm thing to say.
Yes.
And that's why it's important for people to be disciplined, and they have to have their marketing strategy. They have to know how to get referrals. They have to know, when to ask for referrals.
Yes.
They have to know all this stuff.
Yes.
They have to know when to adjust, when not to adjust.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I was sharing with you, they don't build statues and monuments after I don't feel like it, doctor, I don't feel like it. And why we build a statue and why we build a monument and why we revere certain people that have achieved certain moments and levels of greatness is because they were able to act with enthusiasm, with motivation, with passion, with certainty, with clarity, with courage beyond the natural tendency of I don't feel like it, because we all don't feel like it. We all don't feel like it. Let's call it out. There are days you're going to go to the office, you don't feel like it. I don't feel like asking. I just want to get through the end of the day, whatever. But it's the winner, the champion, the gladiator, the ninja, the Navy SEAL that doesn't ring the bell. The one that says, look, man, I'd love to ring that bell and get the hell out of here and get a warm meal and a warm bed. But you know what? I'm destined for something that's greater. And when you can quiet that storm in your brain and you can realize, listen, I'm here for a reason. I'm here for a purpose. I've been chosen. I'm here to make a difference. You discipline yourself, whether it's paying your bills, whether it's like, look, I'm making some money, man. I'd like to buy a fancy car. I'd like to buy a fancy house. Well, wait a minute. Is my financial house in order? Have I paid back? Have I made good on the promises that I've made to other people? Those are the questions you ask yourself. And when you discipline yourself, the discipline is directly and in absolutely 100% related to success.
Discipline
that breeds success.
It provides freedom.
Yeah.
Discipline provides freedom. And that's a hard part for people that don't understand how to do that.
Yes.
Because they think that being disciplined takes away their freedom.
Correct. And it's just the opposite.
Just the opposite. The
Ask
more
a busy
disciplined you are.
You get somebody who's really busy. Like a guy like me, I'm really, really busy. I was just in England a couple of weeks ago. I'm still running my practice with two docs and a phenomenal team, Dr. Elena Goki and Dr. Bert Salinger, who are absolutely wonderful human beings and great chiropractors. And we're running chiropractic. We just had our Fort Lauderdale event down here. 86 people at the event. Was phenomenal. Had some great speakers. How do you get all that done? Sometimes I laugh. I go, I get more done in my morning than most people get done in a week, but I don't lack freedom. By having discipline, you have more freedom.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's talk about you a bit more, the practitioner. You're saying that one of your mentors was Reggie Gold.
Yeah.
What was it like to have time with Reggie?
Reggie, hopefully Irene doesn't listen to me right now. Reggie is... During the days that I worked with Reggie, he was kind of like my dad and kind of reminded me of like a football coach, where he wasn't quick on compliments. He wasn't quick on accolades by any means. He made you work for him. He made you fight for him. If you went up to Reggie and said, hey, I saw 300 people this week or today, he'd go, good, write a check out to Sherman College of Chiropractic, when I had the word chiropractic in it, and donate to the college, So he was man of, when I say business, I don't mean financial, not to say he wasn't a good businessman. He was about chiropractic. His attitude was, look, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is how you're going to do it. And if you're coming up short in anything, all I want to talk to you about is how you get better. And if you're anything but that, I don't want you in my room, and I don't want to deal with you. So it wasn't a warm, friendly, huggy kind of like it is nowadays. And I'm not saying that's wrong. But that was not the type of, that wasn't the relationship I had with Reggie. I would have still trained with Reggie. Reggie stopped coaching it. At that point, I had somewhat of a friendship under Reggie's terms. And he said to me, Joe, you can't call, I'm not coaching anymore, because I would still call him. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm sure that being around Reggie, learning from Reggie, having that guy in your life was something special.
Yeah, Jim Sigafus. I paid Jim $700 a month. I was on a call with him, I want to say 3 years, until he stopped doing it. And I believe it was every 2 weeks, he would send me a cassette of our recording, which I still have the majority of those in my home. I spoke to Jim Sigafus, Fred Bard, Sid Williams, some names that, I was talking to some young people, they didn't even know who I was talking about, which boggles my mind. You say the word John Wayne to a young person, they're like, what are you talking about? You're like, how the hell do you not know who John Wayne is? But it's, and that's okay. So it's up to us not to be, like, I like what you said, not to be leaders, because back then there weren't a lot of leaders, but we need to be a leader in our own way, not ego dominate that we represent the entire profession, but a leader in the heart and mind of any chiropractor. They don't know any different. Just like my kids growing up as teenagers, they don't know, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to be subjective and easily influenced by things that aren't necessarily in line, and they wouldn't know any different. So it's up to us to lead them, to love them, to make it safe for them to fail, but also make it important for them to follow some kind of standards that they want to live up to. Maybe not hit all the time, but they need to live up to that. Because in the end, the professions, I always say at the end of our events, like, I was listening to one of the speakers years ago, and he said, imagine if you were the last chiropractor. And I thought that was a great question. But I thought about it that evening when I went to bed, and I woke up the next day. I go, well, imagine if you're the first chiropractor. Like, imagine if chiropractic was never born and you woke up one day and started studying anatomy and physiology and started looking at quantity and quality of nerve function and started to really kind of get your head around vital force and intelligence and matter and energy. And you're like, wow, that expresses itself in propagation through nerves, transmutation of non-material into material in mental impulse, like all of those things. You're like, holy shit. So you start adjusting people. Like, would you hold true? Would you adjust? Would you get jailed? Would you do dissections and write books and travel all over the world? And if you would, then what are we waiting for? Because that's what we all need to do. Not me, not you. We got to stop looking around for somebody to take the reins, and we got to realize that we all hold the reins, and we all got to talk the talk, walk the walk, and bring the message to the masses. Because if there's ever a time on this planet, ever, they could use the philosophy, the knowledge, the know-how, and the care and love of a chiropractor, it's now. It's now. We're there right now.
Ooh, I feel it, man. When I hear the message like you deliver it, we have a lot of work to do.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things that I've been up against lately is when people say it's hard. I'm like, well, what if we choose to make it easy?
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what we have to do, is we have to choose to make it easy, because if we think it's hard, when we believe it's hard, it's going to be hard.
Correct.
And the more that we get organized and the more that we get disciplined, it will create more freedom for the future of chiropractic.
Yeah. One of the examples we use in Chiropassion, and your listeners aren't necessarily members, but they are for the next few minutes. We use the example like asking for referrals. Nobody wants to get rejected, and there's different ways to handle it. But one of the simple things I use is, let's say, for example, Jim, you were in a hotel with me, and I said, hey, Jim, I've got a briefcase with $1 million cash. The hotel has 1,200 rooms, and behind one of the doors, there's this briefcase. However, in order to get it, you got to knock on each door, walk in each door, search each room sequentially from 1 to potentially up to 1,200. And you're like, okay, so you're going to start with enthusiasm, but you don't know which door it's behind. And at some point, you're going to get fatigued, irritated, apathetic, frustrated, because maybe it's behind door number 783. You follow me? So you don't know that. So and then you start to even question whether it's even behind the door, and start to question, wow, is this something? It might be taken for a ride or whatever, right? But if you started it exactly the same scenario, and I said to you, hey, James, there's a briefcase with $1 million, and it's behind door number 783. I'm going to tell you which room, but you got to go to each door sequentially until you get to it. As the day goes on or the weeks go on, you're going to be more enthusiastic as you get to the door, So it doesn't become hard. It becomes exciting and enthusiastic. And I look at practice and referrals the same way. Like I pretend that I got to ask somebody 700 times before they say yes. So it's not hard. I don't look at them and say, I'm going to ask them one time. Oh my God, they said no, and they're not coming in. One time, if you love something, if you care about something, if you know it's meant to be, if you know you're destined, can you imagine the greats of the greats? If Martin Luther King go, oh my God, they're going to reject me, or Gandhi or Abraham Lincoln or George Washington, or take the greatest of the greatest that have walked this planet. Like, oh my God, they said no, they rejected me. No, we revere them because they acted with courage in spite of that. And if we just grabbed a little bit of that, my God, I mean, you're unstoppable. You're noble. You're a noble knight on a crusade to change the world. I would say Jesus had 12 disciples, and one of them stabbed him in the back, right? So he only ended up with 11. He changed the world. So you don't need a whole bunch. You just need some dedicated disciples. You can change this planet overnight. So,
Love and appreciate you, Dr. Joe. If they want to join Chiropassion or work with you, where do we send them to?
Well, yeah, anywhere. Facebook, Joe Borio. We've got a Chiropassion Facebook, a website, chiropassionconsulting.com. You can sign up. We offer a 30-minute complimentary call. And I only want to have a relationship with people that want to serve and grow. So if you want to serve and grow, the money and the success, trust me when I tell you, it'll come. But if you want to serve and grow and really make a difference, I'm telling you, and you're coachable, if you're willing to empty the cup a little bit, I'm telling you, man, the world is your oyster. You can have it all. You can have it all if you follow those principles. I get really frustrated on my own little commentary here. I know we got to go, but I see some groups, and I say it out of love, these groups are teaching like 90-day care plans, and it just makes me sick. It makes me sick. How no one would you go to a nutritionist that told you to eat good for 90 days, or a dentist that told you to brush your teeth for 90 days, or a hairdresser? They have more confidence in innate than most chiropractors. They don't tell you to come back one time. They'd say you got to come in every month. Why? Because your hair is going to grow. Innate's going to grow your hair. So why would we ever tell somebody they only got to come in for 90 days? Wouldn't you have a conversation? You need to do this for the rest of your life, and how to do that. I just think we're diluting it to something that is so far beyond what it is. And by doing so, we're making it harder for the whole profession to rise up to be the number one health profession in the world, as it should be.
Wow. Lots of good stuff there, guys. I think that's really important for people to hear. We've delivered a lot of truth today, from the education position to the languaging of the profession to how to be right by the business of the profession. Yeah. And I think a lot of times when we talk about our viewpoints, people should investigate their own viewpoints, and they should maybe think about how do they deliver chiropractic. And one of my favorite chiropractors of all time, his name is Patrick Smith. He's in Denver. And he'd say to people after their initial consultation is, "Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick, and you are, and I'm going to be your chiropractor till one of us blows up."
Yeah, exactly. Love it. Right, won't get to him, baby.
And that's the best takeaway that I've ever learned from a chiropractor is I'm going to be your chiropractor till one of us blows up.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take care of you.
Yeah.
Dr. Joe, if you guys want to reach out to Dr. Joe, check him out on Facebook, check him out at chiropassionconsulting.com. Thanks for being our guest today. Your episode 573.
Honor and a privilege. Thank you, James. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. This was a great episode. I hope in posterity, people are going to go back and watch us for a long time. So thank you for speaking from your heart, and thank you for speaking with Chiropassion.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm going to close out by telling everyone you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks so much, Dr. Joe.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.